and welcome to the garage. My name is Tyson and I'm pleased to have you here with me. Today, for those of you who have not been among the 86 pages of people who have visited my house in the 8 years I've lived here, I'm going to take you on a tour of my garage. And even, in fact, if your name is already in these books, chances are you're going to see something new because this space is always evolving. So I'm happy to take you on a tour today, and let's get started. Now, first and foremost, something I thought I would share that I've never talked about before. When this house was built 75 years ago in 1949, it did not have a garage. You can see I'm on a corner lot here, and there was just a carport on the west side. But the prior owner, just before me, added on a huge workshop to the east side of the property. You can see here in this aerial view from the county, it was being framed. And this is what later became my 6-car garage. And honestly, I've said it before, but this house could not have been possibly built for anybody else. It was miraculously perfect for what I needed. And the prior owner did also share a number of photos from during the add-on construction. So this is a looking down the garage before that wall in the middle was taken out. I'll talk to you a little bit about that later. But again, this was kind of a play-by-play of some of the construction process. Of course, being 75 years old, the house did need some renovation work before I owned it, and I've continued to keep it up. I try to maintain my house kind of like I maintain my cars. It's just a constant preventive maintenance approach, and I hope to have this house standing tall for at least another 75 years. I'm kind of just going to structure this as a play-by-play walkthrough as if you were here in the house with me. There's an old family photo. Check me out there with my 2 brothers, mom and dad. Anyway, this is what became later an addition to the house, I believe around the 1960s. That includes my bedroom, a small bathroom, and the garage. So approaching here, the laundry room, which later became sort of my entryway to the garage. See some throwback photos from my dad in his Nova, my uncle in his Chevelle, of course my high school era 89 Prelude. All the license plates you see here on the perimeter of the ceiling, most of them have been from cars that I've owned. Others have been acquired via friends or family members, online, you name it. But this is very full now. It's become sort of the gateway, we'll call it, to the garage. My buddy in Salt Lake City 3D printed this awesome Acura logo as well as a Honda one that's outside. And I established this room kind of like a waiting room of sorts, where you have like magazine racks you can browse while you're waiting for an appointment or something like that. And this was kind of a cool acquisition many years ago. It's a jigsaw puzzle of my Legend GS, believe it or not. It's actually missing a piece there, but luckily you can't see it because it's in a dark section. So here is the display case. I picked this thing up many years ago and it's very full, so don't have time to walk through everything that's inside there, but I could tell you a story about each and every artifact that's present there. And a few newer adds to the collection. One of them was this awesome MDX from my friend Eric. He gave me that at a recent Cars and Coffee event out in Torrance at Honda headquarters. 3D printed B18 motor, a Michael J. Fox Integra Japanese brochure, and so on and so forth. A lot of cool stuff. Some of these die-cast models are exceptionally rare because they were only offered as promotional items during press events or things of that nature. And there's a brief overview of the cabinet. I do love my 1/18 scale Prelude, my little Integra nightlight that my cousin made, and some books. I have more library related stuff outside that you'll see. Of course, my Honda Acura Hot Wheels display. Huge thanks to my friend Josh in Boise, Idaho for hand crafting that beautiful thing. And real quick over here, I'll show you the recreation from my 1998 brochure picture that I did a few years ago. That was a lot of fun. Over here, the 94 Motor Trend import car of the year was the Honda Accord. A friend locally found this at a swap meet actually and gave it to me. A handmade shift knob. Look at this little generator. Oh, by the way, I am tatted now. I think I briefly teased that on my Instagram, but huge thanks to my sister-in-law for giving me some awesome ink. And then, yeah, so some Kelley Blue Book Awards from Honda back in the day, a few little items over here. There's my Tiger ITLX. You can barely see it, but in the background there, I have a picture of my key handoff when I got the car. With that, let's go into the restricted area. I will grant you access for this opportunity, so let's go. Now, picture that photograph I showed you a minute ago with the aerial view. So this space faces north-south, and there are doors on either end. This is not a full width door because there's a little sink wash basin over here. But I guess quick overview, and then I'll just kind of take you around the perimeter of the room. So there's really never a rhyme or reason as to what's parked in here. It kind of depends on what needs to get driven next and where different cars are in the circuit, I guess we'll call it. So over here I have a TV that's playing looped about 150 or 160 different Acura clips from a USB stick. This was, of course, my 2 years ago when I was on Jay Leno's garage and he drove and appraised my GSR. There's the other 3D printed Honda logo that my friend in Salt Lake made for me. And okay, so hey again. So let's go clockwise around the room. I'm not gonna probably talk about every artifact on the walls, but this first one's kind of cool because it was 10 years ago that my coupe was featured in a Hemmings magazine, thanks to author Mark McCourt and photographer Jeff Koch. The car had, I wanna say, I don't know, 560 or so thousand miles on it maybe, but really honored to be part of that feature. Some period advertisements from the original founding Acura dealerships here in Phoenix. Here's a little poster from when I co-hosted with a team for the NS Expo event here in Arizona a couple years ago. Some really cool NSX large posters. These are actually designed to be backlit. They're kind of a translucent material that at some point I need to build a frame for them and put some lights behind them. More car show documentation. This one's from when we took over the Palm Springs Air Museum in 2015 for NS Expo. Was also part of that planning team. There's Canyon de Chelly, it's called, up in Northeast Arizona. Fun little road trip I took with the ILX. There's a Japanese classic car show debut for the SLX. This was a Fabulous Fives event where I rolled all fives with the Legend and my friend Josh's TSX. Y'all remember my Rio Yellow S2000. That's with a local friend who had a Rio NSX. This was from when I hosted the National Acura Legend Meet here in Arizona. We had a nice turnout and I had people sign the poster. Some miscellaneous signs and canvas prints from, there's the Alaska trip with the Legend in 2006. Of course, I later went back in the ILX in 2016. So if you do the math, I'm on a 10-year cycle there, and I do plan on going to Alaska in 2026. I'm not yet sure what I will drive. Another magazine feature, this was the GSR in a Hemmings magazine written by Mark McCourt again and photographed by Jeff Koch. Cool little piece of artwork from a local enthusiast. This is a neat little Chiaki anime type S thing that's painted or charcoal or chalk or something on cardboard. You can see, very cool. Some Integra stuff. I had the distinct opportunity to produce or locate a couple cars for the launch of the new Integra. So this was my 89 LS sedan. Paula Abdul now belongs to my friend Eric in Kentucky. Another NS Expo poster there. And of course, my recent adoration for the 4th Gen Prelude. I had to frame that one. And then these are just some miscellaneous NSX posters here. This one was from the launch of the 2nd Gen NSX. This is autographed by Ted Klaus and Peter Cunningham, both of whom were instrumental in designing and or promoting that car. Legend stuff. There's my 94 GS recently shot at the Barrett-Jackson studio. I had to frame that. And then the only non-Honda in the whole garage is my brother's Tesla Model S Plaid. Super cool car and a great photo. There's the first wall. Over here on the east side, I have a framed collage here signed by Kurt Antonias, who helped launch the Acura brand in 1986. I sent him photos of my restored 95 LS Coupe, and he wrote me a letter back expressing kudos for what I did with that car. Some legend ads, legend articles. I love this GSR one talking about the introduction of VTEC in that B17. Some fairly old photos. This is shortly after I got the NSX. My friend John shot some photos of the two Legends and the NSX at the time. This is a really old picture when I had 19-inch Racing Heart wheels on the Legend, shot in southern Utah. Another Nalm shot. This is Acura of Tempe hosting in 2021 with our group there. This Golden Glow sedan ended up winning Best of Show that year. It only had 21,000 miles on it or something. Another NS Expo shot. This is the event in Scottsdale. Interestingly enough, I was the first one to arrive for the photo shoot, so my car is front and center in the entire group shot. There's a Nalm poster from Kentucky last year. Some custom artwork from a friend with my NSX. This poster was a giveaway at a Honda event. This is the banner that was presented to me in 2011 when this car rolled 500,000 miles. I rolled up the banner and brought it home with me. So we're about ready to paste a 6 over here and have another one here in the next couple years, I think. Over here, I put a picture in this little illuminated shadow box of the key handoff when I got my Sherwood Green LS 6-speed coupe. This was a recent addition from my friend Tim up in the Washington State area. He gave me some really cool paint chip binders that were allocated to dealerships for, this one goes for ILX and TLX, along with this really heavy duty metal stand. So really awesome. Thanks, Tim, for that. Then we go to my brochure rack. It's a little haphazard right now, but this is actually in order. It starts up here in 1986 and runs through in sequence all the way up until really the most current magazine or brochure that I have. There's my full-blown car history, 55 vehicles in 26 years. How many of these can you all identify? There's a lot of repetition here. I gravitate repeatedly to Preludes and Legends. So you'll see that theme quite a bit in here. And some non-Hondas too. Of course, I've put the F-250, the Lexus IS. This was the picture that kind of started it all. This was when I was in high school. I had my 89 Prelude. My brother had his 84 Civic. You can see two Legends in the garage there. So 25 plus years ago, that was kind of what set things on fire for me with the Honda Acura passion. These are some great pieces of art that my friend Darren did for me a few years ago. I in no way have attempted to put every car I've owned up there, but I did have him do these ones. In fact, I also later made some of these into greeting cards, which was really cool to have that custom touch. Here's where I parked the Moto Compacto. It's conveniently located here by a plug. Actually rode that thing yesterday. It is a Type S, by the way. Very rare, high performance model. This was kind of a joke, car salesman-esque photo for my wall that my friend Mike came up with. And toolbox, this was a COVID project. I put together this 3D sign for my fake dealership. And cool gifts from friends. This was a pillow from Eric. This was a piece of wood art from Brian. And here's the rest of that library I was telling you about, where I have service manuals, owner's manuals, and things of that nature. Nothing special in these cabinets, just my car detail supplies and towels. I did kind of start a wall here where I'm putting different dealership license plates. So if you have one that you want to send me, feel free to let me know. And then we're kind of back to where we started. So that's the 360-degree overview of the exterior of the walls. Now this will not serve as a fleet update. I did that about a year ago, last September, where I talked about all the cars, because I'm just only going to talk about the ones that are here in the garage, maybe just briefly. First and foremost, obviously the TLX. I took this on a road trip just recently up to northern Arizona. Really love that car. One of one in terms of being a pre-production car. This is the Legend sedan. This car is going to be driven by my friend Chris to the National Acura Legend meet next month in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Just had some maintenance done to it earlier this year, so it's ready to go. There's the low mileage, AKA high mileage Legend Coupe. This car, I swear, it just is eager to go every time I hop in it. In fact, I guess I'll fire it up real quick. We are today at 593,015. Anyway, it loves to start. Oh, I must have been rocking out in here. Probably get this thing out this weekend a little bit, put a few more miles on it. Trying to coordinate a special occasion to roll 600K. In fact, I did have the idea potentially of doing it at next year's National Acura Legend meet, depending on where that ends up being. Could make for a fun little community event. All right, NSX is also seeing a road trip later this fall. I'm gonna take it to Dallas, Texas for NS Expo. Sometimes when I display the car, I put this picture up here. This is actually my car in Austin, Texas, when they were doing photos for the new upcoming Type S version. So Acura borrowed my car, took it to Texas, and used it in the photo shoot. There's my 92 GSR. I can't believe I've had this thing for 8 years now. It is my Leno car. It was also used in the Acura Integra launch activities, but there's my Leno signature right there. He drove the car back in 2022. And then the 95 LS 6-speed coupe. Love this car. It was a massive undertaking to get it restored, and I'm super pleased with how it turned out. So that, my friends, is your overview of the space. Again, I'm not going to talk about all the cars in the collection because this one is more a focus on the primary parking. And oh, since I didn't talk about it yet, this is where in the previous picture you saw there was a wall. So there actually did used to be a wall here, which is just a regular door on the side, separating the space because the prior owner used where I'm standing right now as just his 2-car parking. And then everything back there was his cabinet workshop, welding space. He was a big-time handyman. So I only needed the space for one thing, and that is parking. And now you've seen it. So thanks for checking it out. Come visit me sometime. Talk to you later.